Tell you what, we're kind of seeing a theme going on our farm this year. Everything tearing up. Even when we're not in the field using stuff's still tearing up. It's like this pressure washer hose bursting on me this morning. I've been hard pressed to find one day that we've had this year that something hadn't torn up. Two days ago we finished up our wheat. This morning finished up planting the rest of our beans and spraying behind it. Zach's already gotten started hauling a little bit of wheat to the river, but not able to do it today because they had a malfunction at the granary, so they're not taking wheat. So we're getting started on getting all of the wheat stuff cleaned up. And not only the wheat stuff, but our shop too, which I am frankly embarrassed to show you. We've got started blowing the combine off, still got some more blowing on it. Kelly worked a little bit yesterday on pressure washing the grain buggy and tractors. And I worked a little bit this morning until the pressure washer hose blew on cleaning up the planter tractors and trucks and stuff. But when Zach gets back here with a sprayer, we all gonna get seriously started on getting all this stuff cleaned up, since we can't haul and we don't have to spray anything until probably next week. So next couple of days, we're gonna try and make a pretty big dent on getting all this stuff cleaned up and put away and straightened up. Uh-oh, we got a problem. See all that black right there? That is oil soaked dust that came on the back side of the engine. We got a pretty serious oil leak somewhere up there on the back side of the engine, and it's not something that it's not an area that, you know, normally we check every day. It's kind of tucked up back behind there, and there's no dipsticks or anything else to check back up in there. And I found it when I was blowing off the combine, but realized we dodged a huge bullet. As hot as this thing runs, as hot as it is during wheat harvest, all up there around that engine, all of that oil soaked dust there. Very blessed that this thing did not catch on fire. And if that had caught on fire, I mean, it would have gone up in flames, and the two fire extinguishers I got on here, unless we caught it right at the beginning, would not have saved this machine. So good Lord's watching out for us. We was very blessed, but that's definitely something we got to get fixed. Or we got to, first we got to track it down, see exactly where it's coming from, then we got to get it fixed before corn harvest. And here we got all the carnage from wheat harvest. As you can tell from the grass, it's starting to get pretty dry around here. The corn definitely showing the effects of the dryness, especially on the thin parts of the fields. The corn's still holding on. I really don't know how. I mean, right now it is really hot out here. I think it's about 95, 96 degrees. But it doesn't really feel that hot because there's not much humidity in there. Hadn't been much humidity in there for a couple days now, which is a lot more pleasant to be out in, but it's even harder on the crops. In fact, even our early soybeans starting to show some pretty good moisture stress. And then as I was finishing up planting soybeans this morning, planting our test plots on a farm that we'd already planted into wheat beans, checked what had been planted, and some of it was coming up to a good stand, but other parts of the field were just too dry, and the soybeans had swelled in the ground, but there's not enough moisture for them to germinate and get up. So we got a problem that normally we don't face and haven't faced in a while, and we might not have a good stand of double crop beans just because it's too dry for the seeds to germinate. Even where I lowered the planter down, trying to plant them a little bit deeper, searching for moisture. I don't know, we're going to have some areas of the field where there was adequate moisture, going to have a good stand, and then other parts of the field that I don't know if we'll get them up or not. And the problem is they once they swell, they've absorbed moisture, but not enough moisture to get them to germinate. You know, I don't know, even if we get a rain, I don't know if they're going to go ahead and germinate. Normally soybeans, if you have them in dry dirt, after about 7 days, even if you do get a rain, they've lost a lot of germination. So I don't know, it's going to be kind of iffy. We're just going to have to wait and see. But not a cloud in the sky today. Yesterday we had a couple of thunderstorms that kind of went around us. They dropped a little bit of rain in some small areas around us, but definitely not on top of us. Now, there's about a 30 to 40% chance of rain for this coming up Sunday, which today's Thursday. So Sunday, we've actually got a chance for rain. First chance of rain we've had in like 2.5, 3 weeks. So really keeping my fingers crossed, because if we get a rain then, everything should be all right for a while. We probably lost a little bit of corn yield, but if we miss that rain, we're sure enough going to lose a lot of corn yield, and we might not get a lot of our soybeans up. So let's keep our fingers crossed on that.
Hot water now.
You gotta have hot water, otherwise it's not gonna plant.
No, I'm not dealing with this hot water mess.
Don't let it get on you. Be sure to get the green part too. All right, we got a whole lot of wheat to haul. Zach's already gotten us a head start. I think he's hauled either 2 or 3 loads, but got typical problems at the river as usual with long lines. Of course, a lot of people still harvesting, so still a lot of grain coming out of the fields. And then they've had mechanical problems at the granary a few days, not been able to take trucks and everything. So just all the normal problems that we face when delivering to the river. But anyway, just got a text message. They're back up and running late this afternoon, so we're going to try to get 1 more load hauled, and then Zach's going to get back here in the truck tomorrow and get back to hauling grain, try and get all this grain hauled. They said we had about 44,000 bushels to haul. We've done hauled 2,000 to 3,000 bushels, and got to get some money coming in, get landlords paid, and do all that before we leave on vacation. And we still got a lot of crops to tend to also. So we get 1 load in today, we're going to take that opportunity. no line. I'll be dead gum. Definitely not what I was expecting there. So, hey, I'll take it. She cooled off a little bit, but man, we had a little bit of problems overheating with it, climbing those hills before we get to the bluff. It's mighty hot out there, and it's tough on a big truck that's hauling this much weight. Let's give that tarp a try out. First time for me. I ain't even got to get out. Look at that. Oh yeah, I'm loving that right there. Getting pro. The mighty Mississippi out there. That right there is where they load the grain onto the barges. Looks like they're filling the barge right now. I got 1,050 bushels on that load. Ready to make tracks for home. There's one field that hadn't been planted yet, but I tell you what, they've already got the finest crop of pigweed I've ever seen. Those pigweed grow real good down here in these river bottoms. Well, just about every pivot I've seen on the way up here is going full blast. One over there, one over there. I sure wish we had a couple to turn on instead of watching the crop burn up. Alright, I guess Kelly wanted to load the truck herself, so I'll back her on up, get her loaded up again for tomorrow. Have I ever mentioned how much I love this new loadout bin? I see ya.
Are you filling this up now?
I'll fill up in the morning.
Okay then. Let's go, dog.
Come on, Scary Larry. You climb up there, you gotta get down.
Yeah, my foot's killing me. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Get down! Oh!
What up, Drake? You got a foot rub tonight?
My foot's killing me.
I climbed up there.
It's not about climbing, Matt. It's about what I've done all day long, and my foot is still jacked up.
Yeah, I'm saying I could have climbed up there.
Ah, mother!
Wait for it. That's not one of the best sounds there is, especially after a long, hot, dirty day. I'll do it all again tomorrow. Sounds like Carter got the head cleaned up pretty good yesterday. Just got some end shields to put on, and he'll be ready to pull down in the shed. Now that he got done with that, he gets started with really fun stuff.
Well, all the wheat's out, so now it's time for hauling wheat up to the granary. As you can see, lines, lines, lines. Seems to be not getting any better. I hauled a load yesterday up here just to make a little bit extra room in the bins. I sat in this exact same spot, and an hour and 45 minutes later I was pulling out of here. So we'll see if we can beat our hour and 45 minute time today.
Time to let the squalling begin. Zach left out real early this morning, trying to get up the river when they opened at 7:30, and we got the truck load up last night, but we're going to try and get this loadout bin filled up. Whenever he gets back, it'll be a load and go. Now I'm watching these grain bin indicators right there. There's the first one that represents about half full, about one load, and then the second one up there is once it trips that, I got about 4 minutes of run time before it starts coming out the eaves up there at the top. You can hear right now the fans are going on bin number 2. They were going on bin number 1 last night. Trying to add a little bit of extra moisture back in there to get a little bit of extra weight before we haul it to the river. Our bins operate on a bin manager system, which is an automated system. There's temperature and moisture cables hanging down in each bin that's got sensors at different levels on the cables, and they can sense both moisture and temperature of the grain. And then there's also 2 weather stations out here that can read the ambient qualities of the air, and then based upon what those sensors read in the bin and what the weather station's saying, there's an equilibrium charge to determine whether, if you run the fans, whether you can actually dry the grain down, cool it down, or add moisture back to it. And well, the system is determining right now the air quality is good enough to be adding moisture back to the grain. As it blows air through the grain will pick up some of the moisture in the air and add moisture back to the grain, thus adding weight. Really don't think it's going to be that effective because the grain's not going to be in here long enough to really do that much. But hey, wheat $10 a bushel, we can pick up a few extra bushels of grain. It'll pay for the electricity cost. All right, I don't know if you can see it, but sensor number 1 is tripped. Still waiting on sensor number 2 there. But the moisture on most of our wheat is running somewhere between 11.5% and 12.5%. The limit on moisture on wheat to where you don't get docked is 13.5%. So, theoretically, if we could add, between 1 and 2 percentage points of moisture back to the grain, that's quite a few bit more bushels of actual weight, because even though we sell by the bushel, which is a unit of volume, someone way back when determined that a bushel of wheat weighs about 60 pounds. So it's actually the weight that we get paid for, even though we get paid by the bushel, it's all determined on weight. All right, the second one just tripped up there, so go shut her off. Out here in the shade, it's actually quite pleasant today. Low humidity. We're gonna have a little break from the heat wave today. It's only supposed to get up to 93 degrees today. In other news, NOAA increased the rain chance on Sunday, which is today's Friday. They increased the rain chance on Sunday up to 50%. So keep our fingers crossed, we need it. All right, now we just gotta wait for Zach to get back. Hadn't heard any word from him. Don't know how long the lines were today. Hopefully it was like it was when I got up there last evening, only 1 or 2 trucks, but somehow I really doubt that's gonna be the case. Considering they were down pretty much all day yesterday, I imagine there's going to be a backlog of grain wanting to get dumped this morning.
Took an hour and 45 minutes yesterday. Took 2 hours and 11 minutes today. One load. bushel bins. They have 2 dump pits. There ain't a single person that I personally know of right now that is hauling anything other than wheat. They are running 1 dump pit into the holding bins, the loadout on the barge. They didn't have a barge there when I was unloading, and with all the trucks that were in line and all the trucks that were behind me, if they didn't have a barge there pretty quick, them holding bins would probably be full within the next 2.5 hours. Then you got to sit there and wait for a barge. It makes absolutely 0 sense to me why they are doing it the way they are doing it. Somebody way smarter than me must have it figured out. I don't know. Anyways, head back to the shop, get loaded up again, see what else we can get done today.
This thing might only be plastic, but it's got some weight to it. All right, looks like it's ready to park. All right, Dylan Joyce, this is how a Ford is supposed to crank and run. 64 years old and still one of the easiest starting tractors I got, if you know how to do it. Hey, got the combine all blown off and ready for Carter to get started washing it. There's one last thing I got to do to prep it for being washed here. These flagship combines, they got covers under the clean grain auger and the tailings auger to let you clean it out good. This is a place mice love, so we're going to pop these covers off where we can flush the inside of the combine out real good. Unfortunately, I think Kelly already got a little bit of water in here yesterday, so this could be a nasty mess. You don't want to come. Oh, there. Yeah. Yeah, it ain't terrible. It ain't great either. All right, there's the bottom of the clean grain auger that it's up under the cleaning screens, and then it carries the grain over there to the elevator, which goes up into the grain tank. And so all this grain lifts up in here. Unless you wash it out, it's impossible to get it clean, and that's just a haven for mice all summer long. And mice do bad things to equipment, like eat on wires and give it a really bad smell. So that's why we're so dedicated on cleaning our equipment good, is to prevent problems with mice and other critters that might get up in there. So the only way to clean that out good is to wash it. And here's the bottom of the returns, which is, this is stuff that comes off the back of the cleaning screens because most likely it hadn't been threshed or whatever, and it's carried over there to the rethresher before it's dumped back on top of the screens to be cleaned again. And this white right here on the auger, that's poly flighting that we put on there to ease the wear on the auger. A whole lot cheaper than replacing an auger. Also, one other thing I want to do, I always forget to do when I'm cleaning my combine, and that's clean the moisture tester out. There's always, say it comes in the moisture tester up here. Here's the clean grain elevator. It comes in here, falls down through the sensor. There's the auger housing that empties it out back into the clean grain elevator. And anyway, there's always grain left in here, and then gets moisture in here, and it packs up solid. And then when you go to, say, shell corn, you wind up blowing a fuse because it's all packed solid. So get that all cleaned out real good. There's already some stuff kind of caked up in there, but we got some moisture. All right, she's ready for Carter now.